Welcome back to NFL Nexus. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most interesting teams in the league right now, the Indianapolis Colts. And I say interesting because they are standing at a huge fork in the road. I mean, on one side of the ball, they've made a really big, decisive change to their defense. But on the other side, they are staring into a total fog of uncertainty at the most important position in all of football, quarterback. This isn't just a small adjustment. We're talking about a fundamental identity shift that could define this team for years to come. So let's get into it.
So where does this whole story start? Well, it really kicks off with this bombshell from ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Colts defensive coordinator for the last couple of years, Gus Bradley, wasn't just fired. Nope, he was immediately snapped up by a division rival, the Tennessee Titans. Now, this is not your average coaching change. This is a strategic chess move inside the AFC South, and it puts a coach who knows the Colts inside and out right into the building of an opponent they have to play twice every single year.
Okay, so this move is a really big deal. I mean, you can't overstate the ripple effects here. You're giving a top rival an inside look at your offensive playbook, your personnel, the strengths and weaknesses of your guys. But to really get why this matters so much, we have to ask the bigger question. Why did the Colts let him go in the first place? Why would you let a respected coach walk, knowing he could end up right next door? That decision is really the first domino to fall in this whole team reset.
And this timeline here, it really tells you something important. Gus Bradley is no stranger to the AFC South. This isn't even his second stop in the division. It's his third. He was the head coach in Jacksonville, then the DC in Indy, and now he's with the Titans. The guy knows the division's rhythm, he knows the stadiums, he knows the rivalries. But more importantly, he knows the Colts. For 2 straight years, he was in every meeting with head coach Shane Steichen. He saw that offense practice every single day. He knows their audibles, their favorite plays, what makes their offensive line tick. That kind of inside knowledge is a huge weapon for a rival.
Which brings us to the billion-dollar question, right? Gus Bradley is a big name in this league. His reputation is solid. The second he was available, teams were calling. So why on earth would the Colts just let that experience, that knowledge, walk right out the door and into the building of a team they have to beat to win the division? Well, the answer tells you everything you need to know about the new direction the Colts want to go on defense.
So to really get why the Colts made this move, you've got to understand Bradley's whole deal. His entire brand, his reputation, it's all built on this one specific defensive style. And look, it was a style that took him to the very top, a Super Bowl ring. But, and this is a big but, it's a scheme that, you could argue, hasn't really kept up with the explosive offenses we see today. And his 2 years in Indy were the perfect example of this. You saw flashes of pure dominance, but you also saw these moments of total vulnerability.
And this is it. This is the Bradley blueprint. He's the guy behind maybe the most famous defense of the last, 15 years, Seattle's Legion of Boom. That defense was just legendary, built on being simple and incredibly physical. The whole idea is based on what's called cover 3. Basically, you keep one safety deep in the middle of the field and everybody else plays a zone. The goal is to keep everything in front of you, force the offense to make a bunch of small plays, and then just fly to the ball and punish any mistake. It's a great philosophy that ran the league a decade ago, but it's been around a long time.
And this right here, this just perfectly shows the dilemma the Colts were in. It's a tale of 2 defenses, really. On one hand, look at the success. In 2023, his defense set a franchise record with 51 sacks. That is insane production. And guys like linebacker Zaire Franklin turned into all pros under his watch. So individual players were balling out. But, on the other hand, you have the struggle. Offensive coordinators around the league, they'd figured the system out. It just became, as it says here, too predictable. And when an offense knows what you're going to do, they can pick you apart. And that led to the Colts finishing 24th in yards allowed and, here's the killer stat, 28th in points allowed. You just can't win consistently giving up that many points.
So when it came down to it, the Colts front office, they had a choice to make. And they made it. They looked at the shiny sack numbers, they looked at the all-pro players, but at the end of the day, they decided that the scheme's predictability was a fatal flaw. The individual success just couldn't make up for the fact that the system was getting exploited. So they closed the book on Gus Bradley and made the call to find a new, hopefully more modern and versatile defensive identity.
Okay, so the defense, they've turned the page. That chapter is closed, a new one is about to start. But that's only half the team, right? Let's flip over to the other side of the ball because, wow, if the defense made a clear, calculated decision, the offense is just staring into this big fog of uncertainty, and it all centers on one massive, franchise-altering question.
And you guessed it, it all comes down to the quarterback. Nothing, and I mean nothing, defines the team's identity more than the guy under center. And for the Colts, the future of that position is completely, totally up in the air. This isn't just about who's the starter and who's the backup. It's way more complicated than that.
Yeah, crowded is one way to put it. The Colts are heading into this offseason with a QB room that is just fascinating and maybe a little messy. You've got 3 different guys, each one representing a totally different path forward, and they all have a pretty good argument for why they should have a key spot on the team. You know that old saying, if you have 3 quarterbacks, you might not have one? Well, that's kind of the situation we're looking at here.
So let's meet the players in this little drama, shall we? You've got the project, the young guy with all the talent in the world. You've got the veteran, the guy who came in and saved the day last year. And then you've got the wild card, the in-house option who could shake things up.
All right, first up is the project, Anthony Richardson. The Colts used the number 4 overall pick on this kid, basically betting the entire future of the franchise on his arm and his legs. He's the definition of a boom or bust prospect. The guy has an absolute rocket for an arm, he can run like a gazelle, he has every physical tool you could possibly want. But he's still a project. He needs reps, he needs to see live action. And he actually won the starting job out of camp and looked incredible in small flashes, but then a season-ending injury to his throwing shoulder just threw a giant wrench in everything.
So then you have the veteran, Gardner Minshew. After Richardson went down, Minshew came in and was everything you could ask for in a backup. He's the polar opposite of Richardson's raw talent. He's stability. He's a known thing. He came in, calmed everything down, played smart, and kept the Colts in the playoff race right up until the very last game. He proved he can win in this offense. But now, he's a free agent. He played well enough that some other team might offer him a starting job or at least a big paycheck, which leaves the Colts with a huge question. Do you pay up to keep your safety net?
And that brings us to our wild card, Sam Ehlinger. He's been with the team for a few years, mostly as the third-string guy. But with Minshew's future up in the air, the team has a choice to make. Ehlinger knows the system inside and out. The question is, do they trust him enough to be the primary backup to a quarterback coming off a major injury? He's the cheap option, for sure, but he's also the risky option because we just haven't seen him play for any real stretch of time.
So that's the setup, right? And it all leads to this huge debate. But there's a really, really strong case to be made that the Colts' #1 priority on offense should be bringing back Gardner Minshew. The whole argument really rests on 3 key pillars: what he did on the field last year, what he means for Richardson's recovery, and just how important his stability is for the entire team.
Look, first things first, the guy just got it done. When his number was called, Minshew stepped into the fire and kept the team from sinking. He started 13 games, threw for over 3,300 yards. He wasn't always flashy, but he was steady. He managed the game, and he gave them a chance to win. He led them to a winning record in his starts, 7-6, and had them playing for a playoff spot in Week 18. He proved without a doubt that he can win games in this offense.
Okay, point number 2. Minshew is the ultimate insurance policy. Think about it. Your franchise guy, your number 4 overall pick, is coming off major surgery on his throwing shoulder. You absolutely cannot rush that recovery. Having a guy like Minshew, who you know can win games and who the whole locker room trusts, it takes all the pressure off. It means Richardson can take all the time he needs to get 100% right. It means one bad hit in Week 2 doesn't completely blow up your entire season. It's about protecting your biggest investment.
And finally, number 3, Minshew just fits what Shane Steichen wants to do. He's not the athletic freak that Richardson is. Nobody's saying that. But this offense is all about timing, accuracy, and making the right reads quickly. And that is Minshew's bread and butter. He proved he can run all the RPOs and play-action stuff that Steichen loves. For 13 games, he showed everybody he's more than good enough to run this specific system, and that's a known quantity you can't put a price on.
So let's pull the camera back. Let's look at the whole picture here. What are we looking at? We're looking at a team that's having a full-blown identity crisis. This is not a small retooling. They're literally tearing down the foundation on one side of the ball, while on the other side, they're trying to figure out who their leader is even going to be. It is a team that is just defined by change and risk.
So here's the bottom line. On defense, they made a change. It's a known decision, but it leads to a totally unknown future. And the whole time, the guy who built their old defense is sitting in a rival's building holding all their secrets. Meanwhile, on offense, their future is tied to a massive unknown, the health of Anthony Richardson. Is he going to be the guy? And who's going to be there to support him? The stability of Gardner Minshew, or are they going to roll the dice on someone else? This team is caught right in the middle between the past they just left behind and a future they're trying to build on the fly.
And that's where we're at. It all boils down to this one simple but incredibly complex question.
Who are the Indianapolis Colts right now? Are they a defensive team, an offensive team, a team rebuilding, a team ready to win now? The answer they come up with this offseason is going to define their future, and you better believe the rest of the league is watching very, very closely.
So that's our deep dive on the Colts. But I really want to know what you think. What should they do at quarterback? Do they break the bank to bring back Gardner Minshew? Do you think Anthony Richardson can stay healthy and be the star? Let us know down in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button for NFL Nexus and give this a like. It really helps us out.
And one last thing, a great way to support the channel is by checking out our new NFL-themed coloring books. They are perfect for any young fans in your life, your kids, your grandkids, and honestly, they're pretty relaxing for adults too. You can grab one by clicking the link right in the description below or by just scanning the QR code you see on the screen right now. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on NFL Nexus.